bleeding cold.
It got nippy here. I wasn't a fan.
This is the biggest, thickest shirt I own, the dopiest, thickest, woolliest hat. I haven't been in for very long.
You see, I remember, but like I haven't lived in England since 1990, right? So
you're lucky swine.
So I remember English houses just being really hot. Did you have those like radiators? You have to like somehow often you have to drain them so you got air caught in them.
Yeah, they still. I mean, particularly what we in the Black Country we call the old uns. The previous,
right, they're awesome. I'm sorry, they were great at heating up a room.
Oh yeah. And my mother, who's nearly 80, she's very much the last of that generation. So anywhere that she goes, it is permanently like Tenerife. Whichever room in any house that she's in.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
But her parents were like that. So if around at my grandparents' place when they were still alive, 5 minutes in there and it was so hot, you'd be just falling asleep in front of Des O'Connor Tonight or one of her other favourite shows, Dallas.
Did, in all fairness,
yeah. It was kind of like that. So it is sort of like that now with a certain generation, but everybody else is sort of has been bled dry for every penny they've got, sadly. Anybody of sort of 40 and under. And so that Britain is very much on its way out as well. The cosy kind of indigenous British way of life is being pushed out in the way of globalism.
Nothing is getting better.
No, it's all down to the globalists as well. They don't want this to be Britain anymore, and they're doing a pretty good job of it as well.
Yeah, listen, look, you have literal fascist rallies throughout the streets.
We do.
It's crazy, right? It's pretty like the Britain I grew up would never put up with it. But anyway, so I was discussing, what I think my issue with this new era of Doctor Who is. I have no idea what we're going to get on Saturday night, right? It could be great, right? Absolutely could be great. This
is the real tester. This is the real tester because obviously people are divided about the first episode, which is understandable, all things considered. But one episode does not an era make, and we'll know.
I disagree. I think that episode did very much stamp what this era is going to be, what this era is.
Here's my rationale behind that. I don't believe that we really knew what the original Russell T Davies version of Doctor Who was going to be like until the end of the world, at the end of episode 2 of series 1. And I think with Moffat it was kind of the same really as well by Time of the Angels, that kind of thing. But with this, I think this is going to be a slow progression.
It seems to be they're going to want to bring Yasmin Finney back in it more.
That's what terrifies me.
What?
That's what terrifies me.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely, and I think there's going to have a spin-off with Shirley Ann Bingham. And I like Ruth Madeley, right? But
she was great. But that character name, Shirley Ann Bingham, sounds like somebody who works at a frigging call centre selling insurance.
Yeah, I guess so. But it just seems so on the nose, the character. It's like with the will. They did it in Spy Kids 3, I think, where Ricardo Montalban had a super wheelchair, and it was better then, right? This was it was really kind of like very much achingly pandering. It's kind of like when the Watchmen TV show was really good, except when there were black people on the screen, and then it turned into like this like super self-conscious liberal thing, right?
Well, as you know, mate, I haven't got a TV license at the moment. I haven't had one for several years, but there's a program that my mother really likes, and she watches a lot of crime dramas still. A lot of older people do, and in it's Silent Witness. That's it. And in that, there's a woman who was in that up until fairly recently, and she'd got some kind of disability. She looks unusual. She's got sort of, I don't know what condition that this woman's got. She's a great actress, but she's kind of a person of restricted growth. And she has sort of facial scarring of some kind. And she was in the second season of Good Omens in her wheelchair and things like that. And she was a regular cast member of Silent Witness. And I feel that they've kind of taken the blueprint of that character, and popped it into Doctor Who, into a family show that's on before the Watershed. So, and they've given and that's where the Shirley Bingham character comes from. And I've got no problem with her on the surface. And I thought she played it. Ruth Madeley played it beautifully. But
up until the cringe scene. Right, just right up until the Ben Awful scene.
Well, but my greater problem with it is it stinks of tick boxing, and people can see
exactly. It's very on the nose. Yeah, it's very, very on the nose. And I don't think Russell, thus far, has been able to write his way around it. Right? It's like listen, look, there is a basic rule in the world, right? And this basic rule, it is somewhat universal, right? Hang on one second, I've got a little illustration. Where is it? Yeah, here's the basic.
For example,
everything woke turns to shit. Okay, it's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
You can't really argue with that.
He was absolutely correct.
And it's like I was banking on him able to do something woke without it being shit, right? And while there were strong elements in the episode, the woke elements were shit. So especially, I think you can make television, you can write drama, and Russell T Davies can put together material that is socially responsible and has something to say about probably all those issues. But that wouldn't necessarily mean it was woke. But Saturday evening, we saw that transgression. In fact, that's how I viewed the bulk of the episode: social responsibility and issues of the day, and it was quite topical. And it's going to be for some people and not for others. Some people will find it challenging, other people won't, that kind of thing. But that last 10 minutes was where things got properly woke and political. And that's where I just check out. It's impossible not to, it's impossible to respect that kind for
of.
me, because the end was so insane, like you couldn't look away and ignore it, right? And that's what you normally do, right?
Yes,
there was no option for that whatsoever. So because of that, I found all the woke elements that were obnoxious, outrageous, obnoxious, that place said seeded all the way through it, got a lot worse. I mean, they're constantly calling Yasmin Finney a beautiful girl. She's got a jawline like Judge fucking Dredd. What do you want me to say? For God's sake.
I must say, I did notice that. Though, okay, they're very intent on making it clear to us that she's a beautiful girl.
Right. And that got magnified by what happened at the end, right? And the pronouns, everything got magnified by this is what it's all been about, right? So, it's I don't think Russell Davies can write without going into these places. I don't think he's able to write it, right? And so I don't know. I'm intrigued to know. My guess is that tomorrow's going to be like a bottle episode. In fact, it's going to be like a bottle episode, spooky, scary, and with no cameos in it of any famous, like just like a bottle episode of Doctor Who, right? Fair enough, and then you're going to have your big action finale with the Celestial Toymaker. I would say, mate, that just because something has been filmed on a closed set, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bottle episode. Not in 2023, not with technology the way that it is. I think all of us, including me, are making a lot of assumptions about Wild Blue Yonder. Well, I'm making none, other than it just seems they want to do a scary episode.
Yeah, I'm expecting something that's going to have meat on the bones.
But in terms of the story, right? I think it's going to be something self-contained. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case either. I think he's actually, what I believe that he's doing. For a start, I believe that the boss, Beep the Meat, mentioned in last week's episode isn't the Toymaker at all. I think that's something connected to the next series. I think so too. I think we're so seeing Beat the Meat back, right? Firstly, wildly successful. Secondly, very expensive to create.
Yeah, you're right. Why develop that technology? Why get it so bang on? And they're not doing anything with it again.
I mean, like that was, even the casting was great with Meat. Everything with that was just fantastic.
And so I despise Maria Margulies probably as much as you do, but she was excellent in that. There's no two ways. There's no two ways about that. Yeah. She was great.
But again, it's just like, I don't know. I put out a review of Enlightenment recently, and when you compare the two stories, they're like, wow, it's like comparing, I don't know, like a good Star Trek Next Gen episode to Lost in Space, Attack of the Tomatoes, right? It's just like, it was so kind of vacant. Right? So the other thing was that the obnoxious scene also affected everything after it. Like, finally we saw the TARDIS, and I was like, well, that's kind of underwhelming. That was like, it's big. It's very big, but it's literally exactly what those boys.
I think in this instance, and I'm using one of your phrases quite a lot lately, so I ought to pay you every time I say this. But results may vary. I've found myself saying that quite a lot, and I think I picked it up from you. But in the instance of the TARDIS, I think you're right. I think some people were more shell-shocked by that scene than others. And generally speaking, for example, Simon, on Type 40, he was very much of that mind. He couldn't believe the nonsense that he was hearing. And so by the time the TARDIS appeared on screen, they could have shown him anything and he wouldn't have cared. And I think, and that's a genuine response that you can't deny. Nobody can argue with that. I was able to get back on board with it pretty quickly. But it's only when I reflect back on the whole thing, you think, okay, this is what happened then and that. And and it's the same with a lot of the component parts to it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I've probably been one of the most vocal people who makes content.
You really have. You've been one of his biggest vendors. So this isn't the TARDIS set, by the way. This is the mock-up.
No,
that those two kids did in CGI from the little bit of set they saw.
And didn't they do a beautiful job as well?
They nailed it 100%.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
As near as damn it, there are not many details that they didn't get bang on. I mean, the one lad, Dalius, he's I'm in contact with him. I can't remember the name. Oh, Harry Arnott is the other guy. Yeah, they're both fantastic at what they do. So everybody should go and follow them.
But again, they're a bit. The only mistake is there's some stairs there in the background. No, everything is very wheelchair friendly, and that's just like, it's so aching. Oh, just give it.
Yeah, again, I haven't a problem with that either. I mean, it is whether it's wheelchair accessible or not. I mean, there weren't any stairs in the Chris Eccleston TARDIS either. That got a ramp, so I don't really see what the problem is.
No, there was the bits of the Eccleston TARDIS in general was a problem because it was on several layers, and it's like,
I beg your pardon. Yeah, there was one step up, wasn't there? Of course there was. Yes,
right.
Yeah,
and then the Matt Smith's TARDIS was much worse. Right, lots of steps, right?
Yes, there's a lot in that, yeah.
I get the same thing with the Capaldi.
With Capaldi, they were up and down.
Right, everywhere. So I just wish it wouldn't be so obvious and slapping you in the face.
Oh, somebody in the chat might have picked up on something, a spoiler that I've heard. I'm not going to even say who it is in case it spoils it. But I believe that the TARDIS not having any stairs may not necessarily lead where you think it leads. Let's put it that way.
Well, what's the rumors? If it's in the chat, tell me. I just can't find it.
I don't want to say. I don't want to spoil it for people.
Tell me who said it, and I'll find it.
It's on comics.
Okay, Lonnie. Fine. How long ago? Oh, K9 accessible. Okay, I can believe that. I've
just heard. That's all.
Yeah. What, as a permanent character or just appearing in
it? Maybe both. Depends what you call permanent. Permanent-ish.
I mean, like Yasmin Finney, probably.
Oh God! Please don't even joke about it. I thought Yasmin Finney. When people are saying terrible actress, she's a plank of wood. I thought she was fine, but I have no desire to see that character again. For me, the story is told. There's no need to go back there.
But no, they're going to want to, right? Like Ross, he said he's going to, right? Again. I think tomorrow, I don't know, maybe tomorrow's ever they go to a different realm and that's how the toy maker finds them or something like that. I don't know.
I've no idea. I know the general plot of the third one of The Giggle.
Yeah,
but I don't know very much about this one. And nobody does.
Super secret, right? It's like super duper secret.
I mean, I gather that obviously, when's that on? That's on. Bloody hell, I've forgotten. When is the third one on? That would be.
That's the week after, essentially.
What, is that December the 9th, something like that?
Yeah. The second of the night. Yeah, there you go.
So by that point, it'll just be just over 2 weeks until we see shooting. So that only
we'll see on the 9th.
Yeah, so from the 9th until the 25th, that's 16 days. So it's just over a fortnight until we meet the 15th Doctor properly. So
exactly.
This is going to be a choppy few weeks, mate.
Listen, I don't know about you. My channel's been going through the roof. My viewership.
Yeah, that's been great. Yeah, it's lovely.
And the worse it gets, the better it is for me. I forgot this. I am covering this in detail. By the way, I didn't think I'd do this with Rose, but I will be doing this while we'll do on Tuesday. I'll do a deep dive photo recap, right? Of going over everything. So right. Yeah, no,
like a scene of a crime kind of thing with white lines everywhere.
Honestly, where I am now, I'm like, I view this era of Doctor Who and the last one as well as authentically canon Doctor Who, as much as Discovery was, or Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks of Discovery, which I just don't think were.
Well, mate, the way I see it, at least this time they've had the good grace to give us an actual clean break as a jumping off point if we want to. In fact, they're giving us two.
That's still for Miss Capaldi, right? I'm intrigued what they're going to do, right? I'm intrigued, and I do think they're going to do something very wacky with the regeneration. All right, I think I do think something like unusual happening there. Like I heard a rumor that Donna's going to regenerate into Shooty or something like that.
This is the thing. This is it. I mean, because that's plainly not going to happen. But because people are getting used to the worst, almost bonkers scenario, we're going wild. The theories are getting wilder and wilder.
Okay, this is what always happens with these things. It's always worse than you think it's going to be.
I think it has been in recent years.
I mean, like, don't you remember Spyfall? Don't you remember? And then there was.
Mate, I've tried to block out that 2.5 seasons. I won't call it 3 seasons.
Wait. Then there was 55, and then what's the one with the Jadoon one, and then it just go on. So I honestly, if this keeps going the same trajectory as it's pushed off on, there's going to be I think there's going to come a point probably in the giggle where everybody, they're going to have a Game of Thrones moment where everybody says, fuck you, right? I really think that might go down. Like a Time to Tell moment, like a Last Jedi moment.
Perhaps. If they can't, I mean, the way I see it, the ratings are one thing, but the quality of these specials does have to increase every single week. And this is whether you hated Saturday or enjoyed it.
Well, the
in fact, for people,
I complain about quality was awesome.
But for people, in a sense, it's worse for people who did enjoy it because it's harder to top. But yeah, it has got to get better in every conceivable way, incrementally, actually indefinitely now, not just over the next 3 weeks, indefinitely, but particularly over the next fortnight. And obviously, Christmas Day isn't quite the event that it was in Britain a few years ago when Doctor Who was last on. Mainly because all the TV channels don't really bother anymore.
That's also true. But
this Christmas special
apparently was saying that the ratings that were in catch-up have been huge. They got like 2 million on Sunday.
I saw.
Actually, they went up 1 million a day. I'm calling bullshit. I don't think it went up 1 million a day.
I haven't seen I mean, let's put it this way. It would take. This is a woman who's gone on a national radio station, repeating figures that are easily researched. I haven't researched them. I've been too busy this week. I know.
These figures aren't out. Here, what's that? I'll put them out. These figures aren't out yet.
Jane, hello.
If those figures are true.
Sorry?
If those figures are true.
She's speaking vaguely enough that you can, and most people will forget and don't care. And then if you do care, you're going to like, what? Shut up, you loser. But here, listen to what she says, because it sounds like just lots of spin to me.
How did it go on Saturday night? The ratings are in.
The ratings were amazing, but I think they're really...
They really were. I mean, they were amazing.
They weren't amazing, love. That's a no way.
Yeah, no. It's 5.08 was a real disappointment, especially as you had a 7.65 right after you.
Exciting thing is that the ratings have just increased day by day by day. So what started on Saturday night is just getting bigger and bigger as more and more people go to watch it.
So that's on iPlayer. I mean, how many people, has the BBC told you how many people are on iPlayer watching it?
Yes.
That is the point of catch-up. That is the entire point of catch-up TV there. So I don't really understand why she thinks that's particularly unique to this episode of Doctor Who.
She's bigging it up because there's nothing to say. Anyway, she says some numbers.
We know that over 5 million watched it on Saturday night, which is very good for a Raw overnight. And by
it's not.
Sunday night, another nearly 2 million extra people had watched it. And
okay, so that's a real number. So they're up to 7 million. I believe that, right? Totally believe that. Wait there.
Apparently, it's like another million. More and more people are going to it on the iPlayer day by day.
Always knew David Tennant was a popular Doctor.
I don't know. Do you see it getting 9 million, 10 million?
With these accumulated figures?
Yeah.
Yes. If that's true, look, I think Jane is spinning a little there. This is what iPlayer, these platforms are for, to give people more chances to watch the damn thing. So it's no great revelation that she's making out that it's this big deal. This is what it's for. If it's not doing this, then she's failed. But I can't deny it. If that's true, and that's 2 million within 24 hours, that is impressive.
Although, again, I think Sunday's got to be their biggest day. I don't see them getting 1 million on Monday. What I think probably happens is it's getting up to 8.5. Right? Well, I don't think going above 8.5.
Again, I haven't double checked the ladies' figures.
Oh, we don't know. We don't know.
If that's true, then that is outpacing. I mean, not only, if you remember, Jodie Whittaker's stuff was getting something like 200,000 views on iPlayer the entire time.
Oh yeah, no. It
so
definitely.
This is true.
The question is going to be Wild Blue Yonder. Did it turn people off? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, like I said, one episode does not an era make. I don't even mean just on screen. I mean the entire thing. I mean everything around it, the whole culture around it.
Here's the thing. I think they frightened enough people off. We're going to see a significant drop, right? And I think when anybody wants to dip back into it, they're more likely than not going to be lectured again, and they're going to learn not to go. Right? I really think. That Doctor Who it's going to be people are going to be when you see the hashtag RIP Doctor Who, doesn't mean the show's going to not be made. It's going to be like Star Wars or MCU. They still make it. It's still awful. And it doesn't matter. And nobody wants it.
You know me. That Gary Beekler is somebody he's a friend of mine. I like Gary a lot, but I do think that hashtag is spiteful and unhelpful. Doctor Who is more than that TV show.
People are reacting emotionally. We had hope, right? And you kick a man in the balls when he's got hope. You're going to get a negative.
I understand that it's a movement, and I understand why it exists, but I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. Doctor Who isn't, and the BBC may own the intellectual property, but Doctor Who will never be dead. It'll never be RIP Doctor Who, as long as there are people like you and I and the good people in the chat.
I agree with you. Check this out. The opportunities now are a lot crazier. This is a Star Wars trailer made entirely by AI, right? It's really weird.
I think he's near.
Bisous.
Hello again, Lisa Ratano. I need the artifact. So you don't want to play nice? What if I let the Empire know about your illegal operation?
I think he's over here.
Vale. Jost Levza.
It's just fascinating what they can do.
You can tell Vader about this one, not me.
And that strangely does feel like Star Wars. I can't.
It does, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. It really does. John the White says 2.5 million is the max iPlayer audience. I trust John the White's take on it. I think he. Listen, when it comes to numbers, he normally has a good reason for saying what he says. I think 2.5, 7.5 is what I'm expecting. If it's 8.5, I'll be surprised.
Well, look, for the moment, they have to produce these figures. Yeah, they will produce these figures at some point, and there will be breakdowns.
Although the iPlayer figures are bullshit. They're such bullshit. They're like, if you watch for 2 minutes, you get a view.
I found out something today about ratings. I'll be talking about the ratings later on Type 40 Live as well. So I found out a couple of things about ratings today, which I didn't know. Things that have changed in the last 20 years to 10 years. So the ratings thing is changing all the time. A million a day. I mean, you have to judge in relation to when they give out these figures. They're talking in relation to other. This isn't just for. Because we're Doctor Who fans, we fixate on Doctor Who. It's understandable, but this is industry-wide across the whole of broadcasting. These standards, these quotas, and these metrics, they don't just get applied to this one show to pull the wool over the eyes of geeks and to gaslight us. This is the general landscape of television. If she says they've got an extra 1 million. What was it? 1 million views on iPlayer per day. Then they have. Or it's up to us to prove or to find out otherwise. I'm afraid we have to take it at face value. And if they publish those figures, and that's what they say.
We have no option whatsoever.
No.
But they're bullshit. Don't tell me somebody watched for 2 minutes as a view. I'm not just talking about Doctor Who. It's they're padding all their numbers because they're in massive incompetence that fucked everything up. Right? BBC used to be a channel people will flood to.
Right? What I'm saying is the entire TV landscape is mostly padded numbers now, and to one degree or another. There's lots of smoke and mirrors.
Because the executives are full of shit and they produce stuff that doesn't connect with the audience, right? Which actually ties me into this. Yeah, where is this? This, I think, is the biggest Doctor Who story that nobody's noticed, right? And I think this is a very significant story. Woke Disney admits misalignment between movies and what viewers want is harming its bottom line. So
misalignment.
Yeah, go woke, go broke. So this is its FCC filings, right? SEC filings, which they have to show they have a fiduciary duty to maximize to not lose money, right? Yes. So in the FCC's filings, they were forced to admit by, I believe it was Nelson Peltz. He's trying to take over Disney right now and become CEO.
You've told me about him before,
yeah. And so he's got all of Ike Perlmutter's shares as well. Who has a lot? Who doesn't like Iger? So and he's taking over to de-wokeify Disney. Now, Doctor Who is safe from the for a while, but it's doing very well on Disney Plus. By the way, you should know that it's doing extremely well on Disney Plus. It was like in the top 5 yesterday. It was in the top 10 today. It's getting solidly between 100,000 and 200,000 viewers a day worldwide, which puts it about in the top 10.
I don't know whether that's
Disney Plus. What?
When it comes to platforms, when it comes to platforms, I mean, I was talking to somebody about this earlier on, very, very briefly, who's been studying broadcasting for a long time, and you simply can't look at a streaming platform and judge its patterns or its numbers in the same way that one can broadcast TV, because the whole nature of it is it is sold on the virtue of our convenience, not theirs. So I think it's a completely different landscape.
No, it is. That's why these smaller numbers are. I'm saying in the terms of its rankings, it's been in the top 10. Here, 1 second.
Yeah,
which I think is very good. Here, let me show you 1 second. Website I found. Actually, who was it? Somebody sent me. I mean,
perversely, this could actually be very good for Doctor Who globally, and awful for it domestically.
The problem is the more it's the more high profile it is, the more it comes to the attention of the Disney investors or the new Disney, right, which are in the midst of taking over, right? Oh, Frozen, I didn't want that. That 1 second. Go to Disney. They have it in the movies for some reason. So yeah, it's
I saw this as well.
It's doing very well, right? It's doing very well. It's some reason it's in movies, it's not in TV shows.
Well,
right?
I believed when somebody showed me this earlier on, and they were saying how this means that this proves the Doctor Who's been a massive failure. In my view,
why?
He believes that because it's a few rungs below Frozen, which is a 10-year-old movie, that means that it's a failure.
No,
I agree with you.
It's doing gangbusters for this. This means Disney Plus is happy with their investment, right?
Yes. I didn't think Doctor Who would be anywhere near the top 10 on Disney Plus. Honestly,
it's in movies though, which is weird, right? It is in movies though. It's but yeah, no, I think I would say this is indication it's doing well, right? And, which is a problem, right? Why? Because the axe is falling, right? The axe. Do you remember Snow White? Right,
yes.
The Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, how they like course corrected like crazy there. Let me find that. Where is them bounding into comics? Listen, I'm sure they've had the numbers, but anyway, we went to the uber woke Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I was looking this up. I got my wrong screen up. Yeah, we went from the uber white Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Which looks nothing like, and Rachel Zegler saying, no, we're not going to do that. To this. Right, the most traditional, like everyone's a white male now, like this is a handbrake turn, right? And the only reason it's being applied to the movies now and not Disney Plus is because that's where they're hemorrhaging money. Believe me, they're going to move on to Disney Plus next, and the more higher profile Doctor Who is, the less woke it's going to be able to be. Right?
It does appear that there was all. I know somebody who's worked on Snow White, and so I know that this work was done quite some time ago. So perhaps all wasn't as it appeared with this film, but that as regards the dwarves and things like that. But that doesn't mean that this woman isn't an appalling human being.
No. That's an entirely different matter. Okay, but Colin Archer, right? You're asking a very good question. What counts as a view on Disney Plus? Look, probably the same thing with iPlayer 1-2 minutes. They go like Lord of the Rings. They said 16 billion people have experienced the first episode of. No, we fucking didn't, lying cunts. No, but the point is this: if this is ranking in its top 10, it's ranking in its top 10, no matter how pitiful the figures are. Hi, quick interjection from me, because earlier in the show I dealt with the story about Elon Musk saying go fuck yourself to Disney as an advertiser. So how does this tie in over here? And again, I should have brought it in. I was a schmuck for not doing it, but you get caught up in the moment. So why is this significant? Because the Starbeast, the problems with the Starbeast emanate from it being very much within the culture war, like being very, very prominently within the culture war. And it's a war that they've already lost or are in the middle of losing. Disney are losing. How do we know this, right? Because Elon Musk was able to say to them, say to Disney and all this conglomeration of huge mega companies that won't advertise on Twitter, X, because of political reasons, right? He's not going to be politically bullied. And he's able to say it. So as of this morning, because this is the next day, I'm recording this insert, there's been a really large move to boycott Disney. So, I just think the ability to be culture war warriors is fast slipping out of Disney's hands and entertainment industry's hands in general. So I think, always not lost. So let's have a quick look at Elon Musk, because, man, that was incredible what he said.
Or, if you will, that this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
I look at the shock and it's like, but that's all the power. What? What do you mean don't advertise? I don't understand.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
I mean, like, and people can't believe. Do you hear the silence? Like, did that just actually happen? Did he actually just say, go fuck yourself to all his advertisers? Is that really what happened? That's crazy. Is there a fuller clip?
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience. All over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them.
Right,
Yeah, context. It's all in context. I mean, right. John's made a point, and I think that really all the stuff with the streaming platforms, we can't apply the same template to it, and we have to just accept that the published figures are in relation to one another, and they're the published figures, and that's that. It's the context is there; it's their own context. But I think John's point about the British this is the thing, and I know that people overseas don't understand this, but the crux of it, forgetting about Disney doing this and that and the other, and these numbers. My thoughts are with the British TV license fee payer. Are they getting value for money for their license fee, and are they getting a show that they can put their kids? Well, not actually, they can sit down with their kids and watch. And I liked it last weekend, but I don't think they are. I think John is absolutely right. I think the British license fee payer are footing the bill for yet another experiment and this sort of wave of social engineering that the BBC are completely committed to through their television programming.
Yeah, I agree completely. And again, it's
a misuse. It's a misuse of public money. I'd even go so far as to say because they fudge what they get from their commercial arm and from the license fee. They do everything they can to fudge that. Then it's hard to kind of pin the tail on that particular donkey, and they make it as hard. And this is how you know that things are not as they appear to be, and that there's nefarious intent. It is because they do everything they can to make it as difficult as they can for us to find out what pays. Well,
exactly,
what pays for what.
Exactly. Well, I was making the point the other day that how would you feel if David Tennant came back in an episode of Doctor Who, and the denouement of it would be that he has to not just take the Eucharist, right? Not the body of Christ, not just do that, but actually accept Jesus into his heart, be able to save the day, right? You'll be like, well, that's something I wouldn't be comfortable with. Really,
it's a bit strange.
But no, it's no stranger than what we saw on Saturday.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Like, no stranger. And honestly, I'm not comfortable showing Doctor Who to my kids are all grown now. Like what they're literally in tank commanders, right? So but still,
I have to say, mate, I got to exactly the same position. I got a message from my son, who's away at university at the moment, and he'd taken some time out to watch it. And I used to watch it with him when he was little.
Oh, really? What do you think? That's the biggest mess.
I can't remember because it's on my phone, which is upstairs. But after I got a message and thought about him, because the whole time I was watching that, I thought of my children, and that's another reason why I was so emotional about it. Well, it provoked an emotional response from me. But afterwards, I think it was the next day, I thought to myself, well, if I had small children again, would I be comfortable with them watching that? And after a bit of soul searching, I had to come to the conclusion that I wouldn't be. And regardless of that was a sobering thought, because, as I say, I enjoyed the episode. I got a lot out of it.
Right.
But if you can't watch it with your children, then it doesn't really matter how good David Tennant is. It doesn't really matter how spectacular Beep the Meep itself was. If you can't sit down and watch it with your children in confidence and security that you're not going to be propagandized like that, then it's not Doctor Who.
And look, they've got to go about 2 years without propagandizing us at this point. Any confidence, right? I mean, it's the opposite of the Mandalorian, right? When the Mandalorian started, we're like, when's the propaganda going to start? I don't get it, and it never did, right? It was bizarre. It just never did. So it was just like, I don't know. It just made everything shine so much brighter.
Thanks for having me on, Rabbi. I've got to shoot now.
Okay, you got to. Sorry, I kept you too long. Okay, thank you for stopping in.
Thank you, buddy. And thanks, everybody, for indulging me. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, feel indulged, baby. Feel indulged. I haven't got to. Fine. This is like we really do need to get to, which I haven't read yet, but I think is going to be very instructive, right? Very, very instructive. The Mad Cult of Doctor Who by Gareth Roberts. Now, Gareth Roberts, if you don't know, a really great Doctor Who author, now won't touch it with the barge pole, right? Just can't stand Doctor Who anymore. He wrote, was it English? The New Adventures, English Way of Death, and what else? Romance of Crime. He did, I think he did the Shakespeare Code, didn't he? I don't know. It's like a real solid Doctor Who guy, right? Let's see what I've got to say. When Doctor Who returned to wild acclaim in 2005 after 16 years off air, and about a generation of being regarded as an embarrassment, I remember turning to a fellow long-time apostle and saying, the legions of new young fans, well, maybe this time round they won't be quite as mad as we were. Well, that would have been nice. They turned out to be much madder. Yeah, like on a genuine level, right? And have only become more so in the leading up to the 6th anniversary this week. Yeah, and past because it didn't do well as well. With any object of a cult devotion that aims for popular appeal, the question arises: are the nutty fans worth it? No. Absolutely not. Can a person take the hit to their status when they are they worth it? Can a person take a hit to their status when they enjoy something a fringe element loudly drools over? That's interesting. But can a person take the hit to their status when they enjoy something a fringe element loudly drools? I don't know what you mean. The existence of extremist devotees hasn't stopped the mass audience tapping into Marvel films or the ever-expanding Star Wars franchise. Well, they don't really care about it anymore. But I think Doctor Who fans have today become a special case. I don't know. I think they're all awful, quite frankly. Before 2005, there was a happy hobbyism to Doctor Who fans. Yes, that's so true. Yes, there was the inevitable very high level of what is called neurodiversity, a heavy percentage of boffin and the buff, science fiction of all kinds with its arcane technical lore and fantasy world is catnip to the socially awkward folk. Well, that's true. I think that's true. But there were many sparky creative people in Doctor Who fandom, unlike other bad all the way down eccentric cults, such as the Reverend Jim Joe's People's Temple or Liberal Democrats. But then the 21st century revived Doctor Who, initially to incredible success. I was part of that revival. I wrote 6 episodes of it. Blimey, didn't I? You did that many. And gradually the fans changed from amiable oddballs to seriously deranged. Yes, so true. This under-socialized, smartphone-addled middle-class kids of the new century were a worrying phenomenon all around, but Doctor Who gave them something to believe in. As time went on, I started to notice a different kind of madness. That this time it was generally concerning, a shallow breathing, eye swiveling, febrile quality that was quite new. As with many other 21st fan communities, from the knitted circles to the young adult authors, the atmosphere soured. Yeah, they 100%. You know, they came in, they destroyed, they laid waste to everything. Right, the shadow of identity politics brought the denouements and excommunications and YouTube outbursts of either extreme love or hate. of the kind you'll find described in tech books about borderline personality disorder. And borderline personality disorders suddenly took over the world, right? I mean, that was really the terrifying thing, right? Alarmingly, the newbies were taking this slightly shonky children's adventure series as Holy Writ, frequently saying things like, "Yeah, the Doctor would not approve," right, or framing its bog standard cheerful liberalism to somehow be unusual, thundering. This has always been a progressive and inclusive show. I mean, just shut up, you strident cunts. Oh, for God. Yeah, but it's never been a stupid one, right? Which is what it is now. As if all other kids' TV shows was packed with fascist propaganda. Yeah, I mean, they do. They act like that. They obsess over the now unacceptable gags or racial stereotypes from an episode made decades before they were born. Yeah, which most of them. We, the makers of the new vision, we, the makers of the new version, didn't help matters. Adding Harry Potter's child density angle, Harry Potter child destiny angle was the adding a Harry Potter child destiny angle that only certain youngsters were good enough to be one of the Doctor's helpers was a bad move. It transpired. Oh God! It gave such a sense of entitlement. That man, you are really nailing it, Gareth. Right? That unintentionally attracted in the modern vernacular, empowered. The entitled egocentricity of the damaged children whose love to think that they are special. Man, is he describing Doctor Who like so accurately? It's terrifying. As the revival went on, it incorporated torturous adult relationships and attempts at creativity, attempts at emotional reality and political and moral depths. All this for what has always been a delightful piece of fluff for 10-year-olds was a disaster, both in ratings and for the younger audience. Well, yeah, listen, they all despise it for good reason, right? The younger viewers. Late childhood and early adolescence is a crucial time. The culture you take in during this period will stay with you forever, as has been proven. Many of those who watched Doctor Who during those formative years, the show doubled down on the dangerously childish worldview, where ethnic hatred and terrorism can be defeated by a stirring monologue. Oh my God! He's talking about Zygon invasion and Zygon inversion. Right, by that time he was thoroughly out of Doctor Who. But I've always hated that about Zygon invasion, Zygon inversion. Right? It's always been a bugbear of mine, right? I've always hated that. Right? No. Viewers were captivated and convinced that there was a lesson for the lesson in the show for reality. The makers of Doctor Who made another mistake. It's very tempting when audience figures slide to focus on the core of who you have left. And I think Big Finish are the people who are really going to get slapped around by this the most, right? Because they're pandered. We'll talk about them soon. They pandered that certain demographic at the same time. Right, and so they got a new series coming out. I'm not sure I'm going to try it out. Right, it's really audience figures. The people who are still enraptured in mistaken belief that the strange rump is your audience. The more recent series of Doctor Who did a robber still with the devil, and it combined bum clenching, embarrassing moral lectures with recondite plots that were impenetrable for even people who knew all the lore. Well, that is true. The stereotype of the Doctor Who fan as a slightly smelly nerd in the context, slightly smelly nerd in the corner has become inaccurate. It's far, far worse now. People I know that have worked on it, who, unlike me, are impeccable progressives, have had death threats. See, these people are crazy, right? This is toxic fandom. I see production staff shaking with fear at Doctor Who conventions. A general atmosphere of its fandom has all the relaxed but balmy of a Maoist struggle session in Act 4 of The Crucible or Act 4. Yes, they are. They've made the production team crazy. right? To parents out there, it's on its 60th anniversary, as it returns again, I would say keep your children away from Doctor Who, especially when it turns out. The thing itself isn't scary. Let's be honest, it never was really. But many of its followers should be hiding behind the sofa. So true, right? And then we had this article, basically, I think saying the same thing. Why is Doctor Who lecturing us on pronoun? The BBC flagship sci-fi show has forgotten how to entertain. Has it forgotten how to entertain? I don't think so, because I found a lot of it entertaining. I think it's forgotten that its purpose is to entertain, right? And not to change the world, not to reform the world in this weird vision of Russell T Davies, how he would like it to be. Again, you have your children, raise them in your beliefs. Leave my children alone. Remember when Doctor Who was fun? Watching it now is as much fun as being publicly humiliated at work by some jumped-up non-binary form filler from HR who thinks he's amazing just because he's painted his fingernails black. I hate to say it, I agree, right? I agree. A good example of the joylessness is a scene in the recent special, The Star Beast, which has been treated by right on Broad Street as a moment of profound importance. You don't have to tell you. They kept saying, oh, the right-wing press are going to get this. They didn't even notice because they didn't care. And they talked and talked about it, right? Yeah, all that happened was a trans woman character played by trans woman actor Yasmin Finney lectured the doctor about pronouns. I mean, that was really nothing. That was not the wokest thing in nearly, right? In a moment of unforgivable Time Lord cis privilege, the doctor assumed that diminutive alien called Meet the Beat used male pronouns. What was he thinking? Right, exactly. Stop with this. This is why nobody likes woke shit other than the woke cult, because they're just fucking nightmare to be around. It is this sort of banal plot line that encapsulates the shriveled ambition of science fiction. Once the genre dared to hold up a provocative mirror to a contemporary society, from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to Octavia Butler's Parable of Soa, never heard of it. Sci-fi changed to lazy assumptions. It really has. Lazy, right? Now it reveals the groupthink that feeds the collective self-righteousness of indolent teenagers and adults with teenage imaginations. Yeah, pretty much. The matter, again, talking about fandom, right? Really ripping it, and accurately ripping it apart. This matters because at its best, sci-fi can dazzle, can even inspire a potential strangeness of the imagined future. Well, you know, that's why we're still here talking about Doctor Who, right? Again, I thought that was really formative to me. It's still Tom Baker holding up those two wires saying, have I the right, right? That kind of moral complexity just blew me away. It was just, and it really, only Tom Baker could really do that. It was really remarkably strong, right? A few years ago, I made a series presented by William Shatner, tracing the cultural and technological influence of Star Trek. In one episode, the inventor of the mobile phone, Motion Cooper, told the director, Julian Jones, how he'd been inspired by the example of Captain Kirk's handheld communicator. Will anyone invent something inspired by the new Doctor Who, a set of new guidelines for pronouns, perhaps? Exactly. It's just such small ideas, right? That's what it is. It's painful how small Doctor Who has become. It's all riding on Saturday, right? Like I do you see it turning it around? I don't. I really don't. You can tell how out of touch Doctor Who has now become by the fact that the normally pompous showrunner, and he is, I hate to tell you, Russell Davies seems to think the new series would shock viewers with the progressive radicalism. The only shock was the alien pronoun scenes was patently stupid. I mean, why on earth would the Doctor assume the gender of an alien? He had been encountering aliens with no fixed gender since the 1960s. The Doctor has effectively been asking aliens for their pronouns for nigh on 60 years. Davis may think he's blazing a trail with the new series Doctor Who, but the truth is The gender bending in science fiction is as old as the frozen hills of Gallifrey. In the War of the Worlds, published 125 years ago, H.G. Wells regaled us with the Martian invaders who reproduce asexually. The hermaphrodites pepper sci-fi, and the work of Philip K. Dick from the work of Philip K. Dick to Ursula K. Gwynn. Yeah, you're not doing anything new or radical, right? You're not impressing anyone. It's a sign of the bubble Davis has blown around his throbbing ego that he thinks the notion of gender fluidity is jaw-dropping. It's again, that's why my first response was, the culture war's over. You lost. Stop, right? Why did Disney do a hard reboot on Snow White, right? And just like go back to what Snow White normally is? It's because the Daily Wire announced that they were making a traditional Snow White movie, and they knew they were going to be embarrassed as fuck. Embarrassment is what drives these cunts more than anything else. The third thing about the character of Doctor used to represent distinctly British kind of amateur anti-authoritarianism. Right. He took on the might of the Daleks with the equivalent of a screwdriver and a well-worn scarf. Now he surrenders to pronoun police without so much of a quibble. The saddest thing is that Davis is using the taxpayer-paid platform at the BBC to confuse young people, many of them gender non-conforming. The trans lobby agit prop, of which he has become a brain-dead purveyor, encourages young people to angst about how, or worse, feel contempt for reality for their human sexual biology, and it preaches that our biology can be dispensed with in favor of some airy choice of gender identities. Yeah, look, it's saying it much better than me, but it is evil, right? It's not real. It's not true, right? Gender is not mutable. It's not controlled by your belief system. And like, why are we sexualizing children? Why is David Tennant doing a set visit with the kids? One of them looks like what, a 12-year-old, saying he's wearing a t-shirt saying, "Let's get one thing straight, I'm not." Well, why would you be like that when you're a 12-year-old? Why do you think that's a good thing? Where we're up to. Human beings have their toes in the mud and their hearts in the soul's heaven, but he said, but the mud is important. The mud is between our toes that allows us to dance. There's a quote from Gene Roddenberry. Yet Doctor Who, the muddy physical human reality of two sexes, is increasingly presented as some sort of oppressive trap. The view ignores the fact that binary reproductive biology is responsible for the evolution of everything that makes humans remarkable, including our brain, the relentless curiosity, the very same curiosity that has driven us to explore space or imagine the alternative worlds of science fiction. Imagine aliens like Beep can have a gender we can have any gender we want to give them. That doesn't change the scientific fact that we are humans with a sexually binary, whatever the entitled blowhards of woke science fiction might try to imply. Yeah, man, that was a really good deconstruction, right? Because it really went through the issues with it. Well done, Malcolm Clark, right? Well done, Malcolm Clark. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.